Ahoy, my friends, Ryder here, and welcome back to another Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis video. Today, I am here to tackle the question of the hour, and that is what to do with your free anniversary costume voucher. So today, I'm going to be going through all the costumes that you can potentially get. I'm going to give you guys my opinions, which ones are could-be's, which ones are maybes, which ones I think are absolute don't use it on it, and which ones I think are the S rank costumes and your potential best choices. Now, I just want to say, guys, this kind of overview of this is focusing on efficiency and playability in the game, so if you want to choose a costume that you love just for the way that it looks, for the aesthetics of it, then a video like this isn't really going to help you guys out that much. I'll give you guys my opinions on how they look as we go, but this is more for like how to make your account better rather than bringing in something that you wish you could have gotten in the past just because you really want to play that costume, right? All right, so that being said, let's go over here to the exchange. This is where you'll find it right here. You just go into exchange, you go to right at the top, 1.5 year anniversary gear exchange. And we're going to be basically going through all of these costumes, and I'm just going to give you guys my basic thoughts on them. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to choose as of yet, so hopefully in this video I can get a little bit closer to deciding for myself. But there's a couple things that I'm going to toss out right off the bat, right? And the first thing that I'm going to be tossing out the window is going to be all the mastery costumes, okay? Masteries, in my opinion, are absolutely a thing of the past. I do not think there will ever be another mastery costume in the game ever again, especially when we're getting things like Omni Arcanum costumes like for Tifa and Sephiroth. So unless you guys absolutely love the appearance of one of these and you really want to play it, I think that all the masteries can be easily tossed out, right? So we have the Maritime Sailor costume. Let's keep going down. What else do we have here? I know there's a few more masteries. I don't think this is it right here. Maybe this one's it. Yeah, so here's the Ice Mastery for Aerith right here. Obviously, Aerith kind of took a turn towards DPS at one point in time, but she has re-solidified herself as the best healer slash support in the game since then. Let's take a look at the Citric dress. All right, that's not a mastery. I think there is a couple more here for maybe Sephiroth. All right, so going down. Yeah, so no, yeah, like this right here, no go on that. I guess we'll just start at the top. We'll make our way to the masteries as we go. But guys, I do not recommend getting a mastery costume. I think that is definitely the least valuable costume that you could potentially get here. All right, so let's start it off. Here we have Cloud's literally the oldest costume you could possibly get in the game. I love this costume. I love the way it looks. Now, in terms of viability, of course you get a Lightning Arcanum, but the only sword he can really pair with that is Murasame, which is pretty old at this point in time. If Cloud had a newer physical lightning weapon, I would say that this is worth it. But to be honest, most of the time these days, guys, when I'm running an elemental physical build on Cloud, most of the time I'm running the Bahamut Anniversary costume. That one is really good. The Monster Hunter costume is also really good. If you don't have either of those, then, this could be something good, but I would say most likely this is going to be a skip. So I'm going to give this like a B ranking, right? And it's going to go like C, B, A, S, right? And then the masteries are Fs. They're straight Fs, guys. So, all right, so here's the Maritime Sailor. This is the Water Mastery costume. This is an absolute pass. Then we have the Bandaged Coat for Cloud. A cool looking costume. I like the idea of giving Cloud a healing costume in his kit, but Cloud is not a healer, guys. I can't remember the last time I think I've used Cloud as a healer one time ever in the entire history of the game, and I don't even have this costume. So for me, this is going to get a C, and that's just going to be there. So I don't think that's a good choice. Then we have his physical attack Fire Arcanum costume. So it's definitely a step up from the Lightning Arcanum. It has 5 more points of physical attack. But like I said, if you have the Bahamut costume, guys, for Cloud, you don't need to pull on any of his Arcanums. In my opinion, guys. right? Sky Splitter is a little bit outdated at this point in time. Same with Murasame. They're obviously still usable. They're still good weapons. I still use them. Cloud is still my main fire DPS. And Cloud is still my main lightning DPS, guys. But would I use my voucher for one of these Arcanum costumes if I didn't have it? Only if I absolutely really wanted that costume for Cloud in particular, because there are a lot better things you guys can get in the game. For example, like Yuffie's newer Ice Arcanum costume, right? That one is really good. It supports 2 different weapon choices, and the weapon that you can wishlist is much stronger than Sky Splitter or Murasame, right? Now we have Barret's Electro Armor. Guys, this is an S rank armor. This is what I used my original 1-year anniversary costume voucher on, and I do not regret it, guys. This is a great costume to pair with his Dragon King costume, because this comes with physical magic attack plus 10% and physical magic defense plus 20%. So, you know, when you're fighting opponents like Bahamut, like non-elemental opponents, this is going to be just as good. You know, and with the HP, it can be better than the Dragon King armor. However, having both of them at your dispense, or like at your viability to use, is going to really open up Barret as a tank, right? So it just depends on what you want to do. If you guys got the missing score for Barret, if you guys have the Dragon King costume for Barret, this is a very good choice. Maybe not necessarily needed, just because the Dragon King one is really good, but I will say that this is definitely a S rank armor. All right, going to Scrap Armor. This is basically the oldest costume in the game, alongside the Murasame garb. For me, guys, I don't recommend this at all. Barret is not an attacker in any way, shape, or form, and I doubt he ever will be. So unless you want this just to have for Barret, which I don't even think it's that great of a costume, then I think that's an easy skip. Alright, Tifa is obviously the best attacker in the game right now, so getting her a healing costume is the same as getting Cloud a healing costume. It basically has no viability. However, this is honestly one of my favorite Tifa costumes in terms of aesthetics, so I could understand going for it just for the way it looks, but I doubt that you guys are ever going to use this at this point in time in the game. Just take a look at the character's ultimate weapons and you will see their direction, and then you can even see from the roll streams that, you know, what direction they're going to be going in the future when they get banners. And Tifa is an attacker role. She is not a healer. Same with Cloud. Alright, going into Feather Style, this is one of my favorite aesthetic looking costumes as well. However, the same problem here as the Lifeguard costume, right? You're giving her something that she's never really going to use. A buff debuff extension is going to be something you want to give to a supporter class, or, you know, a healer potentially. Aerith, sometimes I run buff debuff extension over heal our abilities, but for Tifa, this is not going to get a lot of use. It looks great, but that is about it. Then we have Fairy of the Holy Flame. This is her Ice Arcanum for her Ice Gloves. Ice Gloves are outdated, so essentially I put this in the same category as the Murasame garb, and also the ceremonial garb for Cloud for Sky Splitter. So I do not recommend going for these older Arcanums, guys, especially if you have Tifa's new New Year's banner Omni Arcanum. You do not need to go back for this. Definitely choose something better that is going to more fill out your account. Alright, now here is Bunny Bustier. This one is a decent choice. Tifa is my main magic water DPS character. This is the costume that I use for her. This was when the costumes first started to get power crept from the first line of costumes that we saw. So you could see like the progression, right? Like Murasame garb, 5 physical attack, 11 blade arcanum. And then when we looked at the Sky Splitter costume and the Holy Fairy costume that we just saw for Tifa, you saw it had 10 physical attack and then the appropriate elemental arcanum. Right when this came out is when we started to get better stats in the first R ability, like this magic ability Potency right here, and the Water Blade Arcanum. And for me, Tifa is still a great water magic DPS. However, she is slowly falling off, and I do think that there are better options. This is a, you know, a potential choice if you're really, you know, weak on water, if you missed Tifa's Omni Arcanum. But if you have Tifa's Omni Arcanum, then you absolutely do not need this, guys. I'll put the original Arcanum costumes we already talked about all at C rank, and I'm going to put this one at maybe B plus rank, something like that. So wouldn't really recommend it unless you really want it, you really like the way the costume looks, and magic water is just the last thing that you need in your kit. At that point in time, maybe you can go for it if you need nothing else. But yeah, so I still do use it to this day. Alright, so here we have the Passion Mermaid. This is even better than the last Bunny Bustier costume. The first R ability is Sun's Favor, HP plus 5%, physical defense plus 15%. Obviously a great R ability. It is a little bit locked in on the physical defense there, but it's okay. And then it comes with the Flame Blade Arcanum. Her Fire Gloves, Tifa is, I would say the best fire magic DPS in the game, and it is with this costume, guys. However, if you do have her Omni Arcanum, and I'm going to be saying this for all of her DPS costumes, I don't think that it's worth it to go back and get this for the extra 5% fire ability damage. That's the only difference between that, other than the first R ability right here. However, this is a better choice than the Bunny Bustier costume, which I gave like a B/B+. This one is in the A rank level, guys. So this one is a pretty good costume, more newer, more next gen, and the weapon that you can wishlist for it is also quite a bit stronger than the bunny gloves themselves. All right, let's go on to the Prism dress. Okay. This is an older Arcanum, guys, like the Murasame garb, and so I can't really recommend getting it. I do love the aesthetic of this costume. Aerith in this dress is literally one of my favorite costumes in the game. I loved the blue roses on it, but I honestly cannot recommend it. I would recommend, waiting for Cloud to get his Omni Arcanum costume, which he most certainly will in the future, and then just wishlisting the Holiday Blade from there. Alright, so let's go on from here. Sunny Robe, this was Aerith's original summer costume from back in the day. I can't really recommend going for this, guys. I don't use this costume ever anymore. HP, you don't need magic attack for Aerith, so not really a great choice. Then we have the Floral Gown right here. This one is good, but it is not a buff debuff extension plus, right? You want the buff debuff extension plus. Those are not only limited to limited banners, so that would be what you want to get. So I think this one is an easy skip. Then we have the Fairy of Snowfall. It is her Ice Mastery costume. Let's take those masteries and toss them out the window. Definitely don't need that unless you like the way it looks. Here we have Chocobo Suit. I believe this was a free costume, guys. This was an event free costume. As you can see, it has lower natural stats, HP plus 8, magic defense plus 8. Do not use your freaking voucher on this unless you absolutely love the idea of Aerith in a Chocobo costume. I gotta admit, she does look pretty freaking awesome, but this, please don't waste your anniversary costume voucher on a costume that was free in the past. Alright. Now we have the classic Coney. Of course, Aerith does have a pretty decent AoE fire damage weapon. However, like I said, guys, Aerith is now focused on the healing role in the game. So I think going and getting her DPS Arcanum is just running her in the wrong direction. So I cannot recommend getting this costume. Then we have the Citric dress right here. This is her kind of like overall, magic damage costume that should work with any of her things. But like I said, Aerith is now a healer role. She is not an attacker, and she's probably not going to be getting any or very little attacking gear in the future. So I think this one is also an easy skip. All right, here we have the Canyon Duds, guys. Definitely do not recommend this. If you want something for Red 13 that is great for Red 13, it is right here. It is the Pilot's Jacket. This costume is exceptional for Red 13. This is one of the costumes that I might potentially get. I really wanted a costume for Red 13 that gives him buff debuff extension plus. This one also comes with healing. Obviously, Red 13 is a healer role in the game, and this costume really, really supports him as a character. So this is one of my potential choices, guys. It's the first one we've come across that I might choose, and this is it for Red 13. Also, come on, guys. He looks freaking awesome. The red bandana, the pilot's jacket, it just looks really, really, really cool. This is probably the best overall costume for Red 13 in the entire game, guys. All right? Then we have Seaside Aloha. This boosts his HP and physical attack. Obviously, this is not really great for him unless you guys, like this beach vibe look that's going on. But I think that this is an easy skip. I very rarely, if ever, use this costume anymore. All right, then we have the Shinobi Hawk. This is Yuffie's Earth Arcanum costume. It comes with physical ability potency, Earthblade Arcanum. Guys, if you have Yuffie's anniversary costume, you absolutely do not need this. On top of that, having fought the recent Odin escalation fights, I will tell you that I am absolutely certain that there is going to be a new physical Earth attacker dropping during this anniversary, guys, because I will also say that, if you look at the resistances on Odin, you'll see that he's very resistant to wind. He uses a lot of wind attacks. You put 2 and 2 together, it's very clear that Odin is our future wind summon in the game, meaning that we are going to be getting some strong Earth stuff in the future, and physical Earth is what works best against Odin. So I would say don't run backwards, especially if you guys have the Yuffie anniversary costume. You absolutely don't need this. And even if you don't have that costume, I would still say look to the future. In games like this, always look to the future because things are always getting slowly power crept. And I think that the Hawkeye weapon, right, because we're not just looking at the costumes, we're looking at the weapons that come with them, right? Hawkeye is definitely not a current generation weapon. It's still strong, guys. It's not as weak as Murasame, but it's definitely not as strong as some of the other 940% weapons that are currently out right now in the game. So I believe it's like an 850% with a 1.2% modifier, so still strong, but not anything like the current strongest weapons in the game. So my evaluation for that is skip. I'm going to say essentially the same thing here for the Sparkling Skater. If you guys have Yuffie's anniversary costume, which is physically focused, you don't need to get this, guys. Especially if you have Tifa's Omni Arcanum costume or Sephiroth's now, then you have other options for a Wind Arcanum setup, with Sephiroth's Dark Heavens or with Tifa's Moto Drive, and then even if you don't have those, you could still run Yuffie's anniversary costume. I don't recommend going back and getting this. This one is pretty outdated at this point in time, and I just don't think it's worth it. Then we have Yuffie's original first costume to ever drop in the game. Winter Moogle boosts HP and buff debuff extension. It is not buff debuff extension plus, so in my opinion that's an immediate cutoff. And then on top of that, Yuffie is a very strong DPS attacker, so you're never really going to run her buff debuff extension, guys. So that one is an easy pass. All right, this is the second costume that I am contemplating getting, guys. And this is a very, very good costume. It is the Nanaki Mantle. I love the way it looks. It's probably the best costume for Yuffie in terms of aesthetics. So we have Eerie Mask, Magic Defense plus 15%, HP plus 5%. So it's like the opposite of Sun's Favor. And then we have the Frostblade Arcanum. Now, the great thing about this costume is that Yuffie has a physical ice weapon that we can wishlist. It's not the strongest, but it is there, so it does give you an option into physical ice. And then on top of that, she has a very strong, basically next gen magic ice weapon that deals 940% with a 1.2 times multiplier. So this gives you access to physical and ice magic weapons. On top of that, the costume is great, and one of those weapons is at the tier of elemental weapons that we are looking for, a 940% with a 1.2 times multiplier. So this is another S rank costume, guys. So we had, Barret's Electro Armor, Red 13's Pilot's Jacket, and now Yuffie's Nanaki Mantle. All right, these are all the S tier costumes that we've looked at so far. All right, then we have Summer Moogle. All right, this one is not as good as the most recent one. It does give her an AoE weapon, and I think that Yuffie will get more AoE weapons in the future. You can wishlist her weapon. It doesn't do as much single target damage. It doesn't get as much love in the game as certain other weapons. I do believe it is physical though, so you could be running her AoE fire weapon with her Bahamut costume from the anniversary, but I think that all in all, it's probably okay to skip this. Vincent has a fire costume with a 940% physical fire weapon, which, kind of power creeps Cloud. This one is better than Sky Splitter, I would say, overall, especially with the costume. But I don't think that it's necessarily at the level that you really want to be chasing right now. All right, then we have the Pumpkin Jacket. This is probably, I would say, the best costume for Cait Sith. He's a supporter class in the game. You know, this comes with Eerie Mask, Magic Defense 15%, HP plus 5%, plus it is the buff debuff extension plus, right? So, you know, for characters like Red 13, for characters like Lucia, Cait Sith, characters like that, this buff debuff extension plus, and then also having an R ability that can work in most circumstances is going to be pretty good. However, Cait Sith does get probably the least amount of playtime in the game, guys. So despite this being a great costume for him, unless you really, really love Cait Sith, unless you have the other S tier costumes and you don't need it and you're just trying to pick up an overall costume, I would say that in most cases this is a good one to let go of. But in terms of Cait Sith himself, I would say that this is an S tier costume for him. All right. Now let's keep going down. Here we have the party jacket. Of course, we have Cait Sith's kind of meme critical builds that you can do with him, which can be pretty fun. They've definitely had their moments, but I think at this point in time, we're not really seeing stuff like that. As you guys can see, we barely ever get content in the game that focuses on non-elemental damage, right? There's just less things Applebot can sell that have to do with non-elemental damage. Everything is focused on elemental damage, where we have imperils, we have all kinds of other things, we have elemental potency buffs, and we just don't really have that for non-elemental things. So I think that if you want something for Cait Sith, definitely go for the pumpkin jacket, and I think the party jacket is an easy skip. All right, moving into Vincent. Here we have formal attire. This is kind of his like overall magic DPS costume right here, guys, which could be good because, you know, Vincent does have, he is an attacker class. He does have a decent amount of things in his kit, but this is purely magic focused where, you know, his main fire DPS is physical, right? He does have magic lightning. He has magic earth, right? So but if you have the earth weapon, you likely have the arcanum, so you're not going to choose this just for the lightning, and my guess is that Vincent is going to get an Omni Arcanum during this anniversary, or he's going to get a very powerful Earth Arcanum costume, which I guess wouldn't quite make sense because he already has one. It's hard to say who's going to be the Earth physical attacker, but for me, guys, I think this is probably an easy skip. Wait for Vincent to get his Omni Arcanum costume and go with that. All right, then we have the Crowmaster suit. This is another one that for me, potentially, I'm thinking about getting just because Magic Lightning is literally my weakest element, guys. You know, the Tifa Omni Arcanum, and I even have the Kieran costume, but I only have the Kieran gloves at OB1 for Tifa. And then I have the, I can't remember the name of this weapon, his Magic Lightning DPS weapon. I've been slowly building it, but I don't have a costume that's like an overall magic costume for him that I can kind of sub in without having the Arcanum, you know? So I was thinking about getting this. I like the Eerie Mask right here. You know, I like the Levin Blade Arcanum. Obviously, this could work with a physical or lightning build in the future, but at the same time, I'm definitely holding off to see if Vincent gets an Omni Arcanum costume, because at that point in time, wasting my voucher on this would be just literally a waste of time, right? And I'm hoping that he does get something like that. That will open up Vincent a lot more for me to play him, which I think would be pretty interesting. And then another thing that I'm just going to mention right now to you guys is that I think it's important to hold off, guys, on choosing this costume. There's no rush. At least wait for the anniversary to pass through, see what comes from the anniversary, and then choose based on what you get from the anniversary, right? You know, like if you choose to pull for Sephiroth's new Limit Break draw costume, then that greatly affects, you know, what you might pull in here. So I think it's good to wait, you know, wait in the future until there's something that you need. And if you have this costume voucher, it's kind of like having a weapon voucher, right? You can always go in at any point in time and know that you have a free OB level whenever you want. At this point in time, you have a free costume whenever you want. So, you know, this is just to give you guys an overall insight to these costumes and, you know, what might be a good thing to choose, all right? Now, as for Zack, guys, all right? Here we have the Shinra full dress uniform, guys. Zack is an attacker. I do like this costume, but I cannot recommend going for this costume, guys, unless you really like the aesthetics. Same thing with his tropical beach costume. HP and magic defense right here. These are very old stats, having only 8 points on them right here. So an easy skip for me, guys. I think absolutely no go. Then we have the Glacier armor. This gives him buff debuff extension and Frostblade Arcanum. Definitely a good costume. Not my favorite looking costume. I always thought this costume just looked a bit weird. I don't know why it like comes out to a point at his belly. You know, it would make sense if it was a point at his chest, but like at his rib cage just seems a bit strange. This costume always just felt a bit lackluster to me aesthetically. As for Pressured Ridge, it's definitely a good weapon for Zack. You can wishlist it. I like the Imperil. I like the damage on it. But when you compare this to other costumes that you can get from this voucher ticket, guys, I just don't think that it quite adds up. All right, then we have the holiday suit here. HP physical potency. Zack's an attacker. He's going to get an Omni Arcanum costume at some point in time, so I think you can easily skip this, guys. Black Hound, same thing. HP physical attack. You know, it is boosted right here. Physical attack 15 and HP 15, but still, guys, even though I really like this, the way this costume looks, I often skin this one a lot, but I think both of these are easy skips. Then we have Sephiroth's Edged Wings training garb, obviously a kind of first generation Arcanum costume. So despite the fact that it does look cool, it is his first costume. I think that, you know, if you want a Arcanum for Sephiroth, go for the current banner. That is a fantastic weapon, guys. It supports all his elemental builds with the weapon and the costume. So I think this is an easy skip as well. Then we have the Natant jacket, guys. I can't really recommend going for any of these, especially if you're going to be pulling for Sephiroth's Omni Arcanum costume. You know, you lose a little bit of potency right here, and you don't get the buff debuff extension, but at the same time it covers far more bases. I just can't say that this costume is an S rank costume. I'd say overall an A rank costume. It is a good one, but I just think that there are better choices. Here is his Wind Mastery. We can just toss that out the window. It does look sick, though. This is one of the ones I wish I could have gotten for the looks. Dark Harbinger, guys. This is an older elemental Arcanum. It has been boosted since then with HP and Wind Mastery. However, this is a Wind Mastery costume, not an Arcanum, so never mind everything I just said. Do not go for the Masteries, guys. Then we have Sephiroth's another Mastery costume. He got a bunch of them in the game. And so, honestly, other than if you guys just want it for the looks, do not pull for the Mastery costumes. Then we have Dark Attire. This one comes with Magic Ward, HP 5%, Magic Defense 15%, and Earthblade Arcanum. Never really was a fan of this costume aesthetically, guys. But like I said, I think if you want to play Sephiroth, if you're interested in playing Sephiroth, the way to play Sephiroth is to pull to the end of the first stamp card on this banner instead of trying to go back and fiddle with things like this. A good costume, but I don't think is worth the voucher. Here is Glenn's Pumpkin Mare costume, is HP physical attack. Also don't think that this is a good choice. Glenn is supposed to be a tank. I don't know how they're going to fit him in on that. Glenn is like kind of, you know, like DPS kind of tank, kind of, you know, HP physical attack on a costume for him is just not going to suit him unless you have his Water Arcanum costume, you know, or his recent Ice costume. You know, that's going to be the times you're going to play Glenn. If you don't have those costumes, putting this costume on him is not going to fit him in a team. You're just going to use a better character at that point in time. All right, then we have Matt's Killer Attire. Obviously, Matt is a support slash healer slash imperiler, so HP and physical attack. HP is good, but the physical attack does nothing for him, so easy skip. For Matt, this is one of his best costumes, I'll say, guys. HP and healing is really great for him, although I would have preferred healing and buff debuff duration, which I believe came out on a costume for him later on. So maybe wait for the next anniversary voucher costume to go for something for Matt if you still don't have something by then. But this is definitely a good choice. It's just Matt has kind of fallen off recently. We see way more players clearing content with Aerith than with Matt. He just hasn't gotten as much love, and so I think because of that, it's better to go for a character that is seeing more love in the game. Now for Lucia, this is a decent choice. I wish the first R ability was actually useful. This one boosts poison resist by 100%, but it's so niche, guys, that I feel like it's a wasted R ability. Like when this came out, there wasn't even content, as far as I remember, that where this became useful for her. Then we have Alluring Ploy. This is very, very, very good. It's the same as Barret's Electro Armor. Physical magic attack plus 10%, physical magic defense plus 20%. So really good, but she's not really a tanker. You really want buff debuff duration on her as a supporter. So this costume is great, except for the first R ability. Everything really is in this R ability right here, but I don't think that I can really recommend pulling for this costume for Lucia. All right, then going into the last three, guys. Here we have the Holiday Coat. This one is decent. It is a decent Earth Arcanum costume. However, the weapon is so outdated that I honestly can't really recommend it. I would just, use Sephiroth's Omni Arcanum costume and then use his Sand Splitter weapon. It's going to do basically it's going to do likely more damage when you compare it with the exploit weakness compared to this costume, and give him far more viability. Then we have the Gothic Bunny right here, buff debuff extension and Flame Frost ears. It's not a buff debuff extension plus, so for me, that's a guaranteed knock off the list. You always want to go for the best that you can get, although I always loved the way that this costume looked. Now, last but not least, we have the Beach Agent. This is the last costume for me personally that I'm contemplating getting. I wanted something overall good for Lucia. Even though she doesn't really see much content in the game, it would be nice to have something that I can throw on her in almost any situation. This comes with buff debuff extension plus, right, which is great for her as a supporter. The costume looks amazing, and then also Sun's Favor, HP 5%, physical defense 15%. So all in all, this is probably maybe Lucia's best costume in the game, just looking at her role in combat and what she brings to the table with breaks and imperils and stuff like that, right? So that is going to be essentially my overall synopsis, content overview on all these costumes, guys. So just to recap, the ones that I'm considering getting are Beach Agent. All right, going back. Let's see what else we got here. Crowmaster suit for a magic lightning build. However, I'm hoping that Vincent gets a Omni Arcanum costume in this setup right here. If I did like Cait Sith, I would go for the pumpkin jacket. If I liked Matt, I would go for the the Aidman's white cloak, or right there. All right. Then the next best choice, guys, is going to be Nanaki Mantle for Yuffie. This might be the best choice here, guys, just depending on the situation. Very, very solid choice. Very high in the running for me. Then the next one would be the Pilot's Jacket for Red 13. Super good for Red 13. Definitely his best in slot costume, in my opinion. And then other than that, guys, I'm not sure that there's anything else other than Barret's Electro Armor, which I already have. So those are my top choices for the costume voucher, guys. But I'm curious, what are you guys thinking about spending your costume voucher on? Are you guys going to get something just aesthetically pleasing just to play it? Do you want to get something that, sounds fun, is going to open up your account to be able to play and defeat more content? Either way, I'm happy to hear you guys happy to hear your guys' comments, and I hope that this video was helpful to you guys in choosing your next costume from the anniversary. But like I said, there's no reason to rush. Wait for the anniversary at the bare minimum just to see what you end up going for, and then maybe make your choice in the future based on a guild war, a content you can't clear, or something like that. So I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you guys enjoyed it today, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis content. And just so you guys know, I just released book 4 of the Curseborn Saga. It is called Falling Tower, and it is available worldwide as of right now. I'm an author of 15 years. I write a high fantasy light novel series that's adapted into manga, and I would greatly appreciate your guys' support. If you enjoy reading fantasy novels, you can find a link to it in the description of this video. On top of that, we have a couple guilds recruiting for the next guild war. The first is Bahamut Zero. They were in the rank 20s of the last couple guild wars. They are looking for 1 member. We also have CB Titan, which is looking for 2 members. I believe they were in the rank 30s of the last Guild War, maybe 20s as well. So obviously if you're looking for a competitive guild with a, a dedicated crew of people, both of the leaders of Bahamut Zero and Titan are great people, guys. They're great leaders. They have great sub-leaders. And so if you're looking for that kind of competitive experience, you want to get up there in the rankings, you want to fight with a team, then come join our Discord. There's a link in the description of this video. Join the Curseborn Discord and just shoot me a DM letting me know if you want to join Bahamut Zero or Titan, and I will put you in contact with the corresponding leaders of those guilds. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I wish you guys the best of luck in choosing your costume and using your voucher. I hope that it is everything you guys want. So that being said, hope you guys all have a wonderful night. Take care and peace.